What's the weirdest thing your partner does that you've just accepted? Story 1. She sleeps with her eyes open occasionally and will also sometimes laugh like someone just told her the greatest joke ever while sleeping. I've accepted my little demon. My girlfriend sleeps with her eyes open sometimes. She also loves naps and prefers them in dim red light, and she stirs in her sleep fairly regularly. This all came together one afternoon when I heard her moving and looked over to see her on her back, arms spread on either side, eyes wide open and rolled back, head lifted off the pillow under a deep red glow. My little demon, indeed. She says I should just wait until she raids the kitchen for snacks while asleep. Eye masks can help protect the eyes because they can dry out when your eyelids don't fully close. Preservative-free eye drops before bed and when you wake up are also helpful. It's better to prevent your eyes from drying out than to deal with dry eyes. Random blurry vision is a sign of dry eyes. A childhood friend of mine's little sister used to do that. They shared a room, and the first time I had a sleepover with my friend, she went, "Just a heads up, my sister sometimes sleeps with her eyes open, and it's really creepy. Don't freak out if you look over at her in the night and she's lying there staring. She's not dead." This just reminded me of one of the best dreams I had in years. I don't dream often, but when I do, they are very vivid and realistic to the point that if it's a nightmare, I'm usually yelling in my sleep. I had this dream a couple of years ago just after my aunt died. We lost a lot of people in my family the first year of COVID, but from unrelated issues. I was in a room with people I loved and cared about. It included my aunt, uncle, and my best friend who had all died recently. Someone made a joke and I just started laughing. I laughed so hard that I woke up still laughing over the joke. I sat in bed thinking over the dream and laughing for a while until I fell back to sleep. I couldn't remember the joke after waking up, but I still remember the happiness from that dream. Story 2. My wife is a neat freak. Always cleans up after herself and puts things away. However, I noticed that when she runs out of toilet paper, she will just take the new roll and stand it on top of the empty tube instead of replacing it. I asked her why she does that, and she said, "It's the one thing I allow myself to be lazy about." I think it's hilarious. My amazing, incredible wife also absolutely refuses to reload the TP roll. It is completely out of character for her, but it's such a locked-in behavior I have given up on correcting it. At least she isn't putting it on backwards. I am, in general, the neater/cleaner one in my relationship, but I've noticed that it really bothers my husband if the TP isn't changed properly. So I almost never do it and always leave it for him, just as a tiny payback for all the other cleaning and tidying I do. Writing this makes me sound like a psycho, but I think it's a similar thing to your situation. My wonderful husband is a very tidy person, but he's not very clean. He will rinse a plate with cold water and directly put it in the cabinet if I don't watch out because it gets the plate off the counter or out of the sink. Therefore, he has cleaned it. He likes to shuffle things around, especially when he first gets off work, to just tidy up a bit as an anxious unwinding thing. So to keep him away from the important things, I'll leave out things that can be easily straightened. Instead of putting my keys in the drawer, I leave them out. Instead of putting the salt shaker in the holder, it goes in the general direction of beside it. Firstly, as someone who thrives in clutter as long as things are sanitarily clean, this is my bit of payback for messing with things like my damn dishes that I have to pull out and rewash. Secondly, it redirects that energy into something that will give him an endorphin hit, like straightening a countertop, and he won't feel compelled to do something that will make him grumpy, like my damn dishes. It's not something that frustrates him because I don't do it all the time, and he actually enjoys the act of putting things in their place, which is actually just wherever is out of sight, but that's semantics in this house. Full disclaimer, the dishes are a thing because he gets home while I'm cooking most days and will half-ass wash dishes in our tiny kitchen while I'm still cooking, and it drives me crazy. He does this with everything. I'm so used to never being able to find anything and checking his spots until I do. It's usually kind of cute. He does this cute satisfied head nod when things are sufficiently tidied. My husband is likewise a meticulous neat freak, and his one lazy allowance is that he squeezes the toothpaste from anywhere on the tube. I was so shocked when I found this out. The toothpaste is always carefully placed in its allotted spot in the medicine cabinet, but it's all crazy shaped instead of carefully rolled from the bottom as I expected. He uses this habit as proof that he has a free-spirited, rebellious side. Honestly, as someone who is often guilty of this, it's not even a laziness thing every time. It's been my general experience that there is no good way to reach the toilet paper holder from any toilet I have ever sat on. At least no private bathroom. Many stall bathrooms have at least one roll that is reasonably accessible from the toilet. At home, though, it's always like, let me just reach awkwardly behind me and to the side repeatedly to get some TP. I will note that the freestanding toilet paper holders are significantly better as they can be moved into a reasonable spot. When people carve a hole in the sink cabinets and slap a roller holder in there, 9 times out of 10 it's in a terrible spot because there's no good spot with those restrictions. Story 3. My husband occasionally talks in his sleep and will also laugh like a little girl in his sleep. It absolutely cracks me up and creeps me out at the same time. My partner once went, "So annoying," in his sleep, and when I asked, "Who's so annoying?" he said, "The government," and I just lost it. OMG, sleep talkers are so fun. I can ask him questions and he will answer, though it doesn't always make sense what he says. OMG, sleep talkers are so fun. I can ask him questions and he will answer, though it doesn't always make sense what he says. He also will kiss my hand if I touch it to his lips, and if I meow at him, he meows back. Be careful, it can be like having them hypnotized, lol. My first wife would talk in her sleep occasionally. Wouldn't believe me when I told her. Eventually I found out I could interact with her in her dreams. When I did, I became like a character in the dream with her, so I put a number in my name while in her dream. Later in the week, I asked her what my name was, my full name. She was frozen when in her mind my full name had a number in it. My ex-wife talked to me when I was sleeping, and apparently I called her by the name of a girl at work, and as she puts it, suddenly got a guilty look on my face. This caused legitimate problems in our marriage. She became so obsessed with the fact that she caught me admitting I was cheating. She came to my work to look for my car. She asked other people about her. It was suffocating. I never did anything with that coworker. I was not attracted to her even a little, and despite telling my wife exactly why I wasn't attracted, her jealousy over the girl continued until the girl was transferred at the end of her contract. Mine doesn't fully sleep talk, but he makes these throaty groaning noises as if he's been severely injured or something, and then violently twitches his limbs. Not like sexual groaning, but like hurt, distressed zombie noises. Scares the crap out of me if I'm not asleep before him, lol. I used to think he was pranking me when I first started sharing a bed with him. I've asked him if he's having nightmares, but apparently not. Maybe he is, but not remembering them. My husband does this too. I think it's just the vocal cords warming up for sleep talk because he will make this awful wail, groan, howl, and then a moment later say something perfectly mundane or ridiculous in a normal tone of voice. Not distressed at all. So he's clearly not making that noise because he's having a nightmare or anything. I remember him once waking me up, saying I was moaning. I wasn't moaning in my dream, I was merely saying something to someone in my dream, and it physically came out as a moan in real time. Because in theory, vocal cords are supposed to be sleeping when you're sleeping, and when they get woken up and called on to produce sounds when you're asleep, it sometimes takes a few moments for them to get up to speed, to produce coherent speech. That's my theory anyway. My partner has some kind of condition in which his brain doesn't suppress his body's movement during dreams. So whatever he dreams he's doing, he does, but in bed lying down. He doesn't get out of bed or sleepwalk. Most of the time it's kicking, punching, and running, but whether he's yelling or just speaking, it's always in a creepy high-pitched voice, like Pennywise on helium. I stopped sleeping in the same bed after one particularly bad time when he elbowed me in the face twice. I yelled in response and woke him up. He said, "Sorry, I dreamed I was being chased by a guy with a bird hand." To this day, he can't remember if the bird hand was a talon, a wing, or an actual full bird as a hand. We received a glass and wrought iron bird claw tchotchke from a friend recently, and after being puzzled for a while, we remembered that we had told her the bird hand story. Story 4. She gathered things, bringing little trinkets home and presenting them to me. I always say it's very impressive. She puts little piles of things all over the house and gets upset if they're disturbed, or I suggest getting rid of them. She's a penguin pebbling. That's one of the common ways that neurodivergent people express love, named after penguins who searched the whole beach for cool pebbles to present to their partner, and then used them to build a nest together. My ex-girlfriend would go down to the little beach with us every single day and gather sea glass. She was actually insanely good at it and would find several handfuls every time when I found maybe 5 little pieces. She would bring them home and add them to the pile, which was about 6 by 2 and 4 inches high. She also did the same thing with sticks, shells, crab exoskeletons, and insects. One time she found a pet stick insect, and when it died, she told me she'd add it to her big pile. I didn't know what she meant, so she took me to a dish full of dead butterflies, grasshoppers, cicadas, etc. I believe that the plan was to use it all for crafts and decorations, but it never really happened, other than occasionally putting a stick with a shell or sea glass on it in a potted plant. There was probably enough sea glass there to cover a large dining table in the mosaic, so I bought her a couple gallons of epoxy resin to use for something like that. Those are probably sitting in her gathering room too at this stage. It was pretty cute and didn't harm me since there was a spot to keep it all out of the way, but if it was in my apartment, I wouldn't have been very happy. She also has about 200 plants, and every inch of the walls is covered in pictures, mirrors, and lights. It's really pretty, but God help her if she has to move all of it some stage. My best friend does this. She gets excited about showing me little things she bought that I could care less about on my own, but find amusing because she finds it special. Sometimes I'll get texts in the middle of the day and it's just a little frog salt shaker that she saw at Goodwill. I ask her if she'll get it and she says, "Duh." I visit her a month later and all of a sudden she has a frog trinket collection for her kitchen, and each thing has its place, and if I move it she gets mad. I will do this. I call them my artifacts, sometimes ecofacts, and I have a little spot on the kitchen counter where I keep them until I can show someone. Once I have shown them off and their awesomeness has been acknowledged, they can be moved to one of the permanent artifact bowls or shelves. You are a really good partner, and you have given me hope that one day someone might appreciate me and my artifacts. I do the same. I go on long hikes and collect colorful rocks, pine cones, weird cables or pieces of string, anything interesting really, then I show it to my partner. His favorite findings recently were a collector's lighter, sadly broken, a Toyota logo, and a car radio, also broken. Our yard is full of colorful rocks around our tulips, and I've collected several skulls too, from tiny cat skulls to red foxes and dogs and sheep and even cows. It's huge. Edit. My favorite is an earring I found shaped like a cherry, so shiny and convincing that whoever I show it to first thinks it's a real cherry. Story 5. She mostly closes doors, but only mostly. Not fully, ajar, not fully closed. I have never seen this wonderful woman completely close a door in 13 plus years. Luckily, it's just inside the doors. My wife does this, but also extends it over to screw caps. She'll loosely put on hot sauce caps, the mayonnaise cap, and any bottle with a screw cap. It will only ever be 30% screwed in. This leads to a lot of messes, as you can imagine. Oh god, I've been dealing with this for over 35 years now. I no longer reach into the fridge to grab a jar from behind another one. There's a 50% chance that the lid isn't screwed on. I have to shuffle everything around so I can grasp it firmly by the body of the jar. No cap grabbing in this household anymore. By any chance, does your wife occasionally open chip bags from the bottom, or open them and rip the entire side of the crappy bag open so that it can't be rolled properly from the top to close it? Also, my wife can't close the closet door. Cabinets tend to be closed, fortunately. I've asked her why she doesn't close closets, and she doesn't know why. I think she's worried that there could be an animal stuck in there that wouldn't be able to get out, but she won't admit it. These comments make me cry. My boyfriend Colin passed away 2 years ago of a fentanyl overdose. He had this habit of leaving all doors, kitchen, bedroom, or bathroom doors open upon entering and exiting, etc. I used to get so annoyed with him. He was perfect, a great man, but that's all that we would fight about. It was petty looking back. Now I never fully close the cabinets in the house. It looks like I got robbed sometimes, but I can't bear to shut them. My roomies understand and shut them when I'm not there. I have stopped nagging anyone about socks on the couch, hair ties all over the house, the little things, because one day that person won't be there and you'll miss it. I love you, Colin. You were the cat's pajamas to my bee's knees. See you someday. Story 6. He gets very concerned about his socks to the point that he will count them when he's folding laundry and gets irritated when he can't find all of them. Then he accused me of doing something with them, like I would do anything with his stupid socks. I do that too. It's due to OCD, and I hate it. Gives me immense anxiety. I do it with socks, underwear, clothes, shoes, personal items, etc. I act like a lunatic, and afterwards I feel bad about the whole situation, but the next day is the same thing. It's like a loop in my head that never ends. I also struggle with making the most insignificant decisions. I can spend half an hour staring at my sock drawer and my damn brain can't choose one pair. I know it's not a big deal, it's just socks, and I get it. I have self-awareness, but still, my brain gets wrapped around these little stupid things. My partner must think I'm insane, but he just laughs or tells me to go have a toke. This was basically the biggest fight I had with my partner early on. We were on a road trip and she had done laundry for both of us. I was, of course, very appreciative, but while I was folding mine, I was missing one sock. She helped me look for a minute, but quickly stopped as it was such a minor issue in her eyes. Meanwhile, I was going crazy for over an hour and was repeatedly asking if she had checked X, Y, and Z. She said that she had and was getting so frustrated with me and yelling, "Why does it even matter? Who cares?" etc. Eventually found it under a pile of her stuff, which just made her more mad because she was wrong. I can't stand having stuff go missing, especially half a pair of something, and these weren't cheap socks. We ended up being super close and best friends for years, but recently we are no longer together in any capacity. My dad was crazy about socks. He would buy dozens of pairs of the exact same socks, but he insisted on keeping the original pairs together, lest a sock be worn more times than its partner. So he would mark them. He'd use a Sharpie and put a little mark on the sole. He had 1-dot socks, 2-dot socks, plus socks, star socks, and so on. He would gather them from the hamper and make sure that they were all there at each stage of the laundry process, so he'd match them up when transferring to the laundry basket, the washer and the dryer, and back into the laundry basket until finally he put them away. I'm starting to do the same thing now. I have all different socks, so they're easy to match without marking them, but I hate it when I lose one. So I match them at each laundry stage. I'm also super stressed out about work, and the more stressed I get, the more I treat it by doing things like matching socks multiple times through the washing process, making sure all the plates are facing the same way, or spending 45 minutes making a bed I know I can make in 5. Sometimes the only way I can avoid this is to not do the laundry, dishes, or make the bed. It's whole ass or no ass. There is no half ass. Story 7. When he wakes up in the morning, he puts on all his clothes just to walk to the bathroom, take them off, and have a shower. Why? I will never understand that. I cannot relate to that specifically, but I do know that morning showers straight out of bed are a dreaded thing for me. I think that is the worst time to shower. The bed is warm and you wake up warm. The very last thing you want to do is get out of bed in the first place, but what's worse, having to get cold and then wet on top of that. I think most men are allergic to hot showers too. They're wimps about hot water, so I imagine leaving a cozy bed, trudging to the chilly bathroom, and getting a lukewarm shower is unfun. The trek to that hell would be made worse without some transitional warmth, in my opinion. My husband is also a sleep talker. When we were freshly boyfriend and girlfriend, he spent the night at my place. I woke up and decided to get a little closer to him and snuggle, and he muttered in his sleep, "Ugh, bloody hell." Many years later, I came home late from work and went to bed. I was almost asleep when I heard him take a deep breath and then scream, "Ah, for F's sake!" Story 8. He always finds random objects around the house to make into a hat for me. Fresh laundry, hat. Random plushies, hat. Bubble wrap, hat. Then he makes one for himself and we take a funny picture and hang it on our hat photos wall. This makes me so happy. I adore your partner for this because my dad did this. Rummage in Goodwill and find a kid's Easter basket or a pink beach bucket, hat. Going to Target in the kitchen aisle and seeing a jumbo strainer, hat. Find a small orange safety cone in the hardware store, hat. then stand there expressionless until one of us notices him peering over the aisle at us. He never makes an expression, totally deadpan, which was also hilarious. I miss you, Dad, and your crazy, funny hats. I'd love to see a pic of the hat wall. There's this bird that I keep seeing on social media that has been trained to identify some materials, some objects, and some actions. So the owner might show him a metal bowl and say, "What is this made out of?" And the bird will peck at it with its beak and go, "Metal." Then the owner puts it on his head and goes, "What am I doing?" And the bird says, "It's a hat." My husband and I say, "It's a hat," all the time because that bird is so cute. Story 9. He lays on the floor to decompress, which isn't too bizarre, but he lays down in weird spots and occasionally accidentally scares the crap out of me. One time, he was lying on the floor in the front entrance closet, petting the cat, and fell asleep. I just saw his legs on the ground sticking out from the closet. My first thought was that he had fallen and hurt himself and was unconscious, but he was just snuggling the cat. Another time, I couldn't find him anywhere in the house and started to freak out. But he was lying on the back deck on his belly talking to the skunk that lives under the deck. This was at night, so all I see is a man sprawled on the deck in the dark. Scared me silly. The middle son does this. I'm constantly telling him to get off the floor because he does it in the most random places, like the middle of the kitchen between the sink and the cooktop island, or the hallway to the LR. I too am a middle child, and I've been doing this my whole life. Favorite spots include the little halfway points where a flight of stairs turns, under tables, or wherever the sun is shining. I will say that when my friends and I get an Airbnb or hotels, it makes my life super easy. Instead of fighting for a bed or paying extra to claim one, I just claim a little piece of the ground. I have found a kindred spirit in your spouse. I too like to lay in random places, driving my husband crazy. I also do it in public. Not like in the middle of the grocery store or anything. For example, on my lunch break the other day, instead of running errands or walking around for an hour, I walked a block away to this small Rotary Club plaza and laid down on the concrete edge, probably about 12 to 15 inches wide, of their flower bed and just chilled for that hour instead. I thought about using the picnic table bench, but it was kind of chilly and the concrete was in the sun and warm. Story 10. When he's alone, he talks to himself in third person, making comments on the things he's doing. "Ladies and gentlemen, XX has done it again. He's made the best omelet in history. For the third time this month. He's the man of the year. Look at him getting a glass and opening the fridge. Ooh, is he going for orange juice? Yes, he is! Okay, now he needs to do something, but what was it? Right, the toast. The toast, everybody. He almost forgot the toast." Stuff like that. I'm glad he does it loudly. It's hilarious, especially when he gets tired and stops mid-sentence, but keeps doing what he's doing in silence. Even funnier when he starts speaking again all of a sudden. I do this. Usually John and Jeff are the commentators on my life. "Ooh, what's she going to do with this then, Jeff?" "As always, John, absolutely superb use of that item in this situation." I used to do this too. There wasn't any thought behind it, it just instinctively happened one day and I was like, "Self, why?" We men don't really have anyone cheering us on in our day-to-day lives, so this is a great workaround to celebrate and get hyped up in the mundane aspects of life. It's not like we post a selfie and all our girlfriends comment, "Gorgeous, beautiful, stunning, ravishing." Story 11. I don't know how weird this is, but my boyfriend constantly talks to himself. He also gives voices to our pets, 2 cats and a dog. Each pet has a distinct voice and accent. Some of them have catchphrases. Sometimes when he's getting ready for work in the morning, I'll hear him having conversations with the pets and himself, in all various voices. It's hilarious and adorable. Sometimes I catch myself doing it now too. My oldest dog is a grizzled Chicago detective, like you'd know from a film noir. The Chihuahua is a Valley Girl dumb and asks, "What?" in a high-pitched voice a lot. The youngest is a big Pitty who is actually super smart, but her voice and persona are like George from Mice and Men. Our rescued wild rodent is a true Midwestern Karen who is pissed off about anything out of the ordinary and pronounces anything even mildly foreign with an offensive over-enunciation. Think tortilla chips? It cracks me up, and now I'm completely complicit. I do this with my pets. I develop their voices based on their personalities. My wife says that I actually give them far more personality than they actually have, but because I do it, it sticks with her, and she starts seeing that personality in them. I say that she is wrong, and I'm just better at discovering their personalities. I do this all the time. Driving alone in the car, I'll talk to myself. It's mostly just saying things like, "Huh, I didn't know that place existed. I should stop by there one day." Or, I might stop and grab a drink at the next servo. Home by myself, I'll say things like, "Well, I suppose I better get up and do this," or openly muse about what I'm going to do about dinner. But I've always talked to my pets. Our previous cat went deaf later on in life, but I still spoke to him. I think he was comforted by seeing my mouth move, and sometimes if we cuddled up, he'd feel me speaking. I speak to my 2 cats now because they come running if I call out, and my voice seems to make them happy. Asking one of our cats, "What's doing?" sends her tail up, and asks our new boy, "Can I have the good parts?" makes him walk over and headbutt the back of my hand. I also do this, but when alone, I constantly talk to myself to the point where I had a roommate once assume I was on the phone because I was in my room doing something and didn't hear her come home. So I was just straight up talking to myself. Eventually, when I came out of my room to get food or something, she was like, "Who are you on the phone with?" And I was like, "When?" She said, "Just now, for like the last few hours." I said, "Oh, I was just talking to myself." She's like, "I swear you were having full-on conversations." I say, "Yeah, I was," with a straight face. Because yes, I was. Story 12. He cannot be barefoot. He will only do that when we are intimate, or he is taking a shower or bath. Same, my partner hates being barefoot except for showering or bathing, swimming, or when he's trying to fish from shore. He won't wear sandals or flip-flops. Slides? Nope. It's socks and then the slides. Not even when we're intimate will he be barefoot unless I manage to jump him before he gets dressed, which is hard because he still locks the door when he changes or showers, despite living together for just over 3 years. Story 13. Lose her crap all the time. I never thought I would be the organized one in the relationship, but I have routines for where my stuff goes. Keys hang on the wall by the front door. Sunglasses hang next to that. Wallet, pen, and knife go on the table just below. Her sunglasses can literally be anywhere. I found them in the freezer, behind the toilet in the bathroom, and tucked between the cushions on the couch. Her tiny purse that she carries ID, credit cards, and a little cash is the same. It could be anywhere. So when it's time to go do something outside, she's very rush, rush, rush. Let's get going now. Until it comes time for her to find the purse, sunglasses, and keys. Then it stands around and waits for help to find them. I've started adding 10 minutes to our timelines just for that reason. I find it somewhat endearing, but man, I wish she'd just put her crap where it goes. I don't understand this one. My wife will regularly lose or misplace random items. Her phone, TV remote, jewel, etc. are all prone to just disappearing multiple times throughout the evening. But what gets me is the fact that I will never lose anything because anytime I misplace something, she instantly knows exactly where it is. Like she's psychic, but only with my stuff. And it's not like she helps me find it after looking for a bit. No, she instantly knows. I could be looking for something for half an hour, mention it to my wife after coming up empty, and within seconds, she's magically holding it up and dangling it in front of my face. On behalf of people like her, I promise you, we genuinely don't remember putting it down. It's pure autopilot. Part of doing things on autopilot is that you don't need to dedicate brain cycles to do it. But that also means it doesn't go into memory. I lose stuff within 3 feet of my body constantly because I just can't pay attention to that many things. If we had to take the cycles to deliberately place everything, we would turn into mush. My brother in Christ, I have never met a more disheveled woman in my life than my wife. At one music festival one night, she lost her phone 3 times, her car keys, and an entire fanny pack that I had gotten for her and attached to her body that was literally the most impossible to unhook to get off. I have no idea how she does it, but it's remarkable that almost every time this girl leaves the house to go out and party every weekend, something is going to be lost. I think being disorganized, you need to have certain things in certain places, but if you didn't do that, they'd be willy-nilly. People say to me, "Man, you're so organized," writing stuff down and making the effort to put things in the right place, and I'm like, No, I do that because my memory is a pile of garbage and I'm super disorganized. This is past me doing future a solid. I used to go out with a woman who lost her keys every single day. It baffled me. It was by turns amusing and frustrating. I still don't understand how it's possible to lose something so essential on a regular daily for years, and not take action to remedy the problem. I remember a moment like that with my sister. She's terrible. I was visiting once and we were going to get breakfast. She doesn't usually eat breakfast, so she had no cereal and I was starting to get cranky. She was running back and forth through her apartment looking for things and changing her clothes multiple times because this shirt wasn't clean or something else didn't match. Her boyfriend, now husband, just stood there patiently waiting for her to get her crap together, helping where he could. I wanted to slap her every time she walked by. He said this was pretty normal for her and he didn't mind it. They've been together for like 12 years now and have a kid. I still don't know how he puts up with that. Story 14. I'm a big proponent of farting early in a relationship. It lets your significant other know that you're comfortable around them. My wife, on the other hand, hid her farts from me for years until recently. She had abdominal surgery and afterward she was full of gas, so she was going to be ripping ass for a while. I got her home and was getting her ready for bed, and she looked at me with horror in her eyes and blasted ass louder and longer than I thought was humanly possible. Now she'll get home from work, step in the house, and just blow me away with a monster that she was saving all the way home. I love her. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you would like to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.